Well, hey there, everyone. It's Mark Pomery here, filling in for Tom Murphy once again, who right now, at least I'm told, is currently hitchhiking his way back from the northwest of Western Australia, which is quite a trek. So we're just praying he's going to be home for Christmas. Tom, we miss you, buddy. Anyway, great to have you with us this week for our weekly Elevate Church online experience. If you haven't already subscribed, suggest you do that. Tap the logo. If you've got a touch screen, or just go on there, you know how to do it. And that means you'll just keep up with our weekly Elevate Church online experience. Now, we every week make sure that we take the opportunity to worship God and to worship together, even though we're kind of virtually gathered. So this week, we're very, very honored to have River Valley Worship coming from the USA as our worship partners. So I encourage you to sing along wherever you are. And the second song is really one of my all-time faves, Hope Has a Name. So look out for that.
Still small voice, align my heart to hear you when my faith runs cold. Spirit, help me. And love's long flame, stir my soul, my compass when the road runs cold. Spirit, guide me, I'm running straight to you. When it's all I can do, I'm running straight to you. 'Cause you're my true north, yeah, yeah. East and west still call my name, but I for the greater call. Jesus, lead me, I'm running straight to you. When it's all I can do, I'm running straight to you. My true north, I'm running straight to you. When it's all I can do, I'm running straight to you. My true north, I hear you calling me higher. I set on you, and when I walk through fire, I will not be moved. I hear you calling me higher. I set on you, and when I walk through fire, I will not be moved. To you, my true north, sing it, I'm running straight to you. When it's all I can do, I'm running straight to you. My true north, yeah, yeah. You're my true north, yeah. There is a song, I know it well, a melody that's never failed. On mountains high and valleys low, soul will rest, my confidence in you alone. Old past and name, his name is Jesus. My Savior's cross has set the sinner free. Old past and name, his name is Jesus. Oh, Christ be praised, I have victory. There is a light, salvation's flame, Christ undefeated, trampled the grave. See now the cross be lifted high. The light has come, the light is won. Behold the Christ, oh, past and late. His name is Jesus, my Savior's cross has set the sinner free. Oh, past and late. His name is Jesus. Oh, Christ be praised, I have victory. There'll be a day, my hope complete. Now home in glory, your face I'll see. My pain no more, my fear will cease. I bow my life, I'll fix my eyes on Christ my King. I bow my life, I'll fix my eyes on Christ my King. Yes I will, yes I will. Has it laid? His name is Jesus, my Savior's cross, oh, has set the sinner free. Oh, has a name, his name is Jesus. Oh, Christ be praised, I have victory. Oh, Christ be praised, I have victory.
Well, hey there, Elevate friends and family. Great to have you with us today for the sixth and final week of our series Beyond Blessed. And before we dive into that, can I just encourage you, strongly encourage you, if you missed any of the first 5. This has been a great series, actually. Full disclosure, I've enjoyed preaching this series more than I expected to. So if you missed any of the first 5 weeks, you can either go back and watch them on this channel, or if you want to just take us with you via a podcast, go to your favorite podcast app, search Elevate Church Perth. All of the episodes will be there and you can catch up. Now, here's a question. When you think of strength, who comes to mind? You know, is it Arnie? I'll be back. Maybe the Mountain from Game of Thrones, who incidentally, I believe, was different actors at different times. For me, it's Chuck Norris. And yeah, okay, sure. I'm showing my age. Some of you are like, Chuck who? But here's the thing. The peak of his, he's 84 years old right now, by the way. At the peak of his acting career, Chuck Norris was kind of known as a bit of a tough guy, and he had some martial arts skills. It was a whole thing. Anyway, now if you poke around, and you don't have to take a very deep dive, poke around the interwebs, the social media platforms, you will find memes and jokes all about how much of a tough guy Chuck Norris is. Just a warning, most of them are really quite absurd. But here's the thing. For many of us, we do have an aspirational goal, and like a good aspirational goal, to be super strong, to be sort of indestructible. And, maybe sometimes we even try to overcompensate, knowing that we're not indestructible, and try to project that image. But the reality is, and I think you already know this, nobody is immune from struggles. Yes, that's right. We're nearing the end of 2024. I can recall back at the end of 2020 when a nerve in my lower back stopped playing nicely. And when I say stopped playing nicely, I literally couldn't bend over. And I don't mean like touch my toes, bend over. I mean just like lean from my hips. Couldn't do it. And I know it sounds like, how do you remember it was late 2020? Are you like Rain Man or something? I remember because we had a building project going on at our home here, where I'm now sitting. And we were living in the original part of our house. And I dropped something on the floor. And I'm like, I can't pick that up. Thankfully, my brother-in-law was the painter on this building project. So I literally text him from 10 meters away in the other part of the house, asking him to come to where I was to pick something off the floor for me. So, that happened. But look, the reality is in life, we're all going to experience on multiple occasions circumstances where we can't get through something in our own strength, where our weakness is on full display. And it's the end of the year. Some of you might be feeling that right now. It's been a year. Like you've had a year. You've been spinning more plates than you can sustainably continue spinning. Work, home, kids, all the things. And you're like, yeah, I literally am out of strength. Others of you, maybe you've experienced circumstances, beyond sort of life overload, like negative circumstances, or you may have had people coming against you, and as a result, you're kind of out of strength. I can remember back a time when I had some people coming at me, and a lot of character assassination, and just stuff that you wouldn't wish upon people, and it was brutal to be on the receiving end of that. And look, I'll spare you all the gory details, but I can tell you, having endured this, I literally went emotionally numb for 6 months. Now, and I didn't even know it was going to be 6 months, but ultimately emotionally numb for 6 months. And I'd never experienced this before. Things that I once found enjoyable, I no longer could bring myself to enjoy them. I didn't laugh for 6 months. I literally walked around in a daze. I'm not going to label it as burnout, or it might have been, I don't know. Look, all I can say is it was just horrible. Thankfully, my wife and the people in my inner circle were very supportive, very encouraging. They prayed for me. They were patient with me during that period. But it was a scary place to be. I had no strength of my own to get out of that valley that I found myself in, but I'm out of it. And I'm sitting here talking with you, proof positive that it's actually possible to get and come out the other side. And so I just want to encourage you to say, if you keep going in the struggle, don't quit. God can do a work in your life. If you've lost your mojo, God can bring your mojo back. So let's talk about that today. If you've got your smartphone camera, how about you scan this flow code? It's going to take you to Ephesians chapter 1, and this is the chapter that we've based this entire series on. we've been like riffing and getting into the various things that Paul wrote. This is a letter written by Paul to the church in Ephesus, just chapter 1. And look, and if you haven't already, can I encourage you in this kind of December season, like maybe today, this week, literally sit down and open up Ephesians chapter 1 and just read it, just chapter 1. It's only going to take you a couple of minutes, but read it and you'll just be blown away to read all of the things that Paul reminds us of that we are blessed with. Because he says we're blessed, if you're a Jesus follower, you're blessed with every spiritual blessing. And then he starts to unpack them. You're blessed with the fact that you're loved by God, chosen by God, adopted by God, forgiven by God. You've been given purpose by God. Last week we talked about that you have an inheritance. You're an heir to an inheritance from God. And Paul's writing this from a tough place. Like he gets what it is like to be in a tough place. He's in a Roman prison, like the worst of the worst place to be. But he doesn't focus on the hard times. He doesn't focus on the struggle. In fact, when you read Ephesians chapter 1, you probably miss the fact that he's writing it from a Roman prison. You think he's writing it from a cruise ship because he's focused on God's great blessing. So he's written all this stuff, and let me drop you into verse 19 where Paul says, I also pray that you'll understand the incredible greatness of God's power for us who believe him. Not that you'll receive the power. He's kind of inferring you already have it. Now the tipping point is to fully understand it. This is the same mighty power that raised Jesus Christ from the dead, and seated him in the place of honor at God's right hand in the heavenly realms. Paul wants you to know that even in the toughest place, that even in the darkest place, the same power that raised Jesus from the dead is available to you, that power can empower you to keep moving forward. Now, when you read this little section of chapter 1, you'll come across 4 different words that Paul uses to point to the idea of God's power. Yes, one of them being power. In the Greek, it's the word dunamis, which we literally get the word dynamite, and that refers to God's explosive power. That's where God can just swoop in and change something dramatically in a heartbeat. Power. He talks about God's working. This is the word energia. That this is this energizing power. This is something we have access to help us keep going beyond a moment in time. He talks about strength and the power that's encapsulated by strength. And this kind of idea of strength is like self-control, which, leading into Christmas, might be something that you'll find helpful. And then he talks about power using the word might, God's might. This is like, it's God's unlimited potential and capacity. There is nothing too hard for God. And so when you package them all together, power, energy, strength, might, you start to see this idea of just how all-encompassing God's power is. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead can raise you up. The same power that made the world can remake your world. The same power that's over all is over you. And God, he doesn't just like to make his power available. He likes to make his power known. Like to glorify himself, which he's allowed to do because he's God, by demonstrating his power. And the big idea today is simply this: God can not only show up in the struggle, he can show off in the struggle. In fact, elsewhere, Paul makes the point that God's power is made perfect or made complete in our weakness. So if you're feeling weak today, it might come as a pleasant surprise to you. You've actually got a head start because God likes to show off his power when we're weak. And it's ultimately triggered by us acknowledging our weakness and using that as the cue to be more fully dependent on him. Now, we're talking about struggles today, and I appreciate right now some of you, this isn't like, no, you're not feeling it, because for you, you're kind of singing the Lego movie theme song. Everything is awesome. Work's good, family's good, marriage is good, health is good, finances are good. You know, everything's just rainbows and unicorns. And if that's the case, we celebrate you genuinely. That's amazing. That is awesome. Like, we love that. We love to hear that. But let me just insert two thoughts for you. And I'm not about to throw a wet blanket on your awesome circumstances. In fact, quite the opposite. But just a warning. Don't dial down your reliance on God when everything is awesome. In fact, look for opportunities for God to use you to demonstrate his mighty power in the life or lives of other people who are struggling. You are uniquely positioned to do that. But what about when everything isn't awesome? Look, I'm just going to say it. It sounds a little bit oversimplified, but it's an absolute vital pro tip, Marco's pro tip. Don't give up in the struggle. Quit only if and when God says it's okay to quit. Don't quit just because it's hard. And I know it's tempting. And that temptation's increased when you can't see a way out or you don't know how long it's going to take. I remember this dark season that I went through. I said already, it took 6 months before I started to see some light on the other side. But during that 6 months, I didn't know it was going to take 6 months. I didn't know on some days if I was ever going to get out of it at all. And it was tempting on many occasions to quit. And I'm just glad that I didn't. But look, struggles can keep coming at us like laundry. Yes, laundry inspires memes like this one. The never-ending story, doing laundry. But don't give up in the struggles. Now, I think it's important for me to qualify something, and I actually like to qualify this regularly, because some people, when they consider following Jesus or start following Jesus or are just sort of new to following Jesus, can buy into the misguided idea that if I start to follow Jesus, that means I'm never going to have any struggles again. But it's literally not how it works. In fact, Paul, same dude, he explains how it works on the street level, like you, me, in real life. He wrote this: we now have this light shining in our hearts. Yes, but we ourselves are like fragile clay jars containing this great treasure. Yeah, all right, that sounds about right. Thanks, Paul. This makes it clear that our great power is from God, not from ourselves. Okay, yep, important point to note. And we are pressed on every side by troubles, but we're not crushed. We're perplexed, but we're not driven to despair. We're hunted down, but never abandoned by God. We get knocked knocked down, but we are not destroyed. And I hope some of you find this strangely encouraging today, because some of you, you've stepped up in your journey, in your commitment to following Jesus. You know, you're showing up every week, you've joined a team, you're giving financially, you're praying for your enemies. Whew, that was a big step. You know, you're trying to do all the right things. And for some of you, you've got more struggles now than you had before you started following Jesus. So what's that all about? You know, maybe you think you're doing something wrong. Maybe you even made the rookie mistake of comparing what you're going through with somebody who right now everything is awesome. And you're like, well, obviously I don't have it like the people that have it. But Paul, who wrote this about being hunted, perplexed, troubles pressing in on every side, this is Paul, y'all. Paul, who was arguably one of the greatest Christian leaders in human history, arguably one of the greatest missionaries in human history, arguably one of the most spiritually mature people in human history, and he's got struggles, pressed on every side by troubles, every side by troubles. So if you're pressed on every side by troubles, guess what? You're in good company. But Paul, he doesn't finish the sentence there. There's not a full stop saying I'm pressed on every side by troubles, full stop. No, he says, but not crushed. And the inference is because of God's mighty power working in his life. Perplexed, he says. Ever felt that? You know, you're going through some troubles and you don't understand why. You're asking questions like, how is this happening to me? Why is this happening again? Paul says he's perplexed, but not driven to despair for the same reason, because he's got God's mighty power at work in his life. He's not praying for more clarity of the circumstances. He's prayed for more clarity that we would better understand God's power being available, and how it works, and what it looks like to allow God to operate more powerfully in our lives when we feel too weak. He says he's being hunted down. Some of you know what this looks like. You've been hunted down by the bank, by creditors, the energy company, by people. Yep, I can relate to that. Paul says, but never abandoned by God. You're not alone, fleeing or hiding or evading or being attacked by things and people and circumstances that are trying to hunt you down, because you've got God and you've got his mighty power available working in your life. And then he says he's been knocked down. And some of you can relate, because you've been knocked down. You've been knocked down by betrayal. You've been knocked down by addiction. You've been knocked down by situations at work, by the consequences of a bad decision you made. Yes, knocked down by self-inflicted wounds, knocked down by a family that fell apart, knocked down by habits, knocked down by divorce. But Paul writes this encouragement, knocked down but not destroyed, because of God's great power working in his life. If you're not dead, God's not done. You got to get up. And in the words of the great prophet Chumbawamba, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. That's a great creed to live by. Now, back to Ephesians, the letter, Paul continues, now he is far above any ruler or authority or power or leader, and if I miss something, well, let me just say this way, or anything else, not only in this world, which is helpful and encouraging to know, but also in the world to come. God has put all things under the authority of Christ and has made him head over all things for the benefit of the church. He's far above your struggles and my struggles. Nothing is too hard for God. We live beyond blessed because we're blessed with God's strength working, His mighty power, His energy in our lives all the time, especially when we feel too weak. His power is made perfect in our weakness. Hey, listen, the next 2 Sundays, we're going to drop a couple of Christmas warm-up messages, and so I'll be teaching those. So I would love to see you back here, and make sure you bring somebody. Host a little watch party. Put out some Christmas treats, and let's make sure we keep the focus on Jesus as we lead up to Christmas. Hey, so we are just consistently humbled by people like you who give financially to allow us as Elevate Church to do what we do. Our mission is to reach people and build people. And one of the things that fuels that is financial resources to be able to carry that out. So well done to those of you who've been giving. Keep it up. And if you want to take your kind of first step in giving, the details are on the screen. Real simple. If you're in Australia, you can go to our bank. You can take down the details of our bank account. You'll find them on our website. That's on the screen now. You can do a direct deposit. That's how my wife and I give Elevate Church from our bank account into Elevate's bank account. Or anywhere in the world, you can download our Elevate Church AU app and give via a credit card or a debit card. So keep that going. We appreciate it. Real simple, big finale. We'll see you next week.